Earth's atmosphere is a thin, vital blanket, delicately wrapped around our planet. It's easy to forget just how fragile and essential this layer is, but without it, Earth would be a frozen, lifeless rock drifting through space. This atmosphere traps just enough warmth for life to thrive, creating the perfect conditions for water, plants, animals, and humans to exist. At the heart of this system is carbon dioxide, or CO2, a key thread in this protective blanket. For millions of years, CO2 has helped regulate our planet's temperature, acting as a natural thermostat and making Earth habitable. For ages, plants, oceans, and geological processes worked together to keep CO2 in balance. Trees and plants absorbed it, oceans dissolved it, and rocks locked it away, creating a stable climate where civilizations could flourish. But in just a few generations, burning fossil fuels, coal, oil, and gas has rapidly increased CO2 in the air. This surge is overwhelming nature's ability to absorb it, tipping the balance that took eons to establish. As a result, our atmospheric blanket is thickening, trapping more heat than ever before. This extra warmth is driving global warming, changing weather patterns, and making our world less predictable. The consequences are clear: more extreme storms, rising seas, and weather events that are stronger and more destructive than in the past. Our oceans are growing warmer and more acidic, threatening marine life and the delicate balance of underwater ecosystems. Today, scientists can measure CO2 with incredible precision, tracking even the smallest changes in our atmosphere. By analyzing ancient ice cores, we can look back in time and see how CO2 levels have changed over hundreds of thousands of years. The data is undeniable. Today's CO2 levels are the highest in at least 800,000 years, and they're rising faster than at any point in recorded history. In effect, we are running an unprecedented experiment on our only home, changing the very chemistry of the air we breathe. The consequences are no longer distant or theoretical. They're unfolding now, all around us, in the form of wildfires, melting glaciers, and floods. Understanding CO2 isn't just a matter of chemistry or science, it's about the choices we make for our survival and the future of every living thing on Earth. The science is clear and the stakes are immediate. We have the knowledge and the tools to act, but the window for meaningful change is closing. Our actions today will shape the climate and the world that future generations inherit. The story of carbon dioxide is the story of us, and the choices we make now will echo for centuries to come. As of November 19, 2025, global carbon dioxide emissions are set to hit a record high. Emissions from fossil fuels and cement will reach 38.1 billion tons, with total emissions, including land use, at 42.2 billion tons. Despite warnings and international agreements, we're still increasing the amount of heat-trapping gas in our atmosphere. About 90% of this pollution comes from coal, oil, and gas. Every ton of CO2 locks in more warming for decades to come. Instead of a decline, 20,000 tons down, there 25 brings another peak in emissions. This isn't a failure of science or technology, it's a failure of will and policy. The atmosphere is keeping score, and right now, we're losing. The future is being shaped by our choices today. 3 countries, China, the United States, and India, dominate global carbon emissions, shaping the fate of our planet's climate. Together, they account for nearly half of all greenhouse gases released into the atmosphere each year, making their actions critical to the world's future. China, the world's largest emitter, continues to increase emissions due to its vast industrial base and heavy reliance on coal. Yet it's also a global leader in renewable energy, investing billions in solar and wind. This paradox, growing emissions alongside green innovation, makes China's energy transition both complex and crucial. The global climate's fate is tied to China's choices. If China can successfully shift away from coal and scale up clean energy, it could set a powerful example for other developing nations. The United States, after years of progress, is projected to see a sharp emissions increase in 2025, a major setback for global efforts. Policy changes, economic shifts, and energy demand are all contributing to this worrying trend. As a wealthy nation with some of the highest per capita emissions, the U.S. has a unique responsibility to lead the way in innovation, policy, and support for global climate action. Its choices ripple far beyond its borders. India's emissions are still rising, but the pace is slowing thanks to rapid solar expansion and favorable weather patterns. India is at a crossroads, balancing economic growth with the urgent need to limit emissions. India faces the immense challenge of lifting millions from poverty while avoiding the carbon-heavy path taken by richer nations. Its development choices will influence the global climate for decades to come. The choices these three countries make, how they power their economies, invest in technology, and cooperate, will define our climate future. Their policies and priorities have global consequences, influencing everything from international agreements to local air quality. The world is watching, and depending on them to act boldly and wisely in the face of this crisis. The path they choose will echo for generations, shaping not just their own futures, but the destiny of the entire planet. In 2025, U.S. emissions are set to rebound sharply, nearing 5 billion tons, a significant reversal. A renewed reliance on coal and weather-driven energy demand are key drivers. Market forces alone can't solve the climate crisis. Strong policies are essential. The resurgence of coal highlights the fragility of progress. Rising U.S. emissions undermine global climate diplomacy and erode trust. The U.S. can lead or lag in the race to a sustainable future. Right now, it's moving in the wrong direction. India stands at a crossroads. Its energy choices will shape the global climate. Emission growth is slowing, projected at 1.4%, thanks to a solar energy boom and a favorable monsoon. Solar power is helping meet new demand without more coal, but coal still dominates. India's development needs are massive, so even slower growth means huge emissions. The challenge: decarbonize rapidly while improving lives for 1.4 billion people. Wealthy nations built prosperity on fossil fuels. India is being asked to do it differently, and faster. International support, finance, technology, partnerships is crucial. India's path will set a precedent for developing nations. The world has a stake in India's success. Helping India go green is vital for the planet. Our rising emissions in 2025 are driven by coal, oil, and gas, the fossil trinity. Coal is the dirtiest, responsible for 42% of fossil CO2 emissions, and remains stubbornly high in major economies. Phasing out coal is the most urgent climate priority. Oil, fueling transport, accounts for 33% of emissions and is rising as travel rebounds. Electric vehicles are growing, but too slowly to offset oil's dominance. Natural gas, touted as a bridge fuel, is 21% of emissions, but methane leaks make it a climate risk. Expanding gas infrastructure locks us into more fossil dependency. Renewables are growing, but fossil fuels still dominate. The transition is too slow to meet climate goals. Ending fossil fuel reliance is essential for a livable future. The carbon budget is our planet's allowance for CO2 before we exceed safe warming limits. For a 50% chance of staying below 1.5 degrees C, only 170 billion tons remain, just 4 years at current rates. After that, every ton pushes us further into dangerous territory, risking irreversible climate tipping points. The 1.7 degree budget gives us about 12 years. The Sudexy budget, 25 years. We're spending our planetary inheritance recklessly. The world has already warmed by 1.28 degrees, with impacts everywhere. The 1.5 degree C goal is a critical guardrail, not an arbitrary target. Incremental change is no longer enough. Radical, immediate transformation is needed now. Nature's carbon sinks, oceans, forests, soils, have absorbed half our CO2, buffering us from worse warming, but these sinks are weakening. Oceans are becoming more acidic and less able to absorb CO2, while forests face drought, disease, and fire. A burning forest releases decades of stored carbon in an instant. We risk turning sinks into sources, accelerating climate change. As sinks weaken, more CO2 stays in the atmosphere, making cuts even more urgent. We can't rely on nature to clean up our pollution. Protecting and restoring ecosystems is critical to any climate solution. Reforestation, wetland protection, and healthy oceans are essential. Nature is an ally we can't afford to lose. Our climate strategy must include saving these vital systems. humanity is now a geological force, fully aware of its unprecedented power to alter the planet's systems. Our cities sprawl across continents, our industries shape the very air we breathe, and our choices ripple through the biosphere. We have become the architects of Earth's future, for better or worse. In 2025, emissions are at record highs, driven by our relentless addiction to fossil fuels. Every day, billions of tons of carbon are released, fueling economic growth but also deepening the climate crisis. Our dependence on coal, oil, and gas is a habit we struggle to break. The carbon budget is nearly spent. At this rate, we'll exceed 1.5 degree Celsius in just 4 years. The clock is ticking, and every fraction of a degree matters. The window to act is closing rapidly, and the consequences of delay grow more severe with each passing year. This is the defining challenge of our era, not for the distant future, but for today. The responsibility falls on our generation, right now, to confront this crisis head-on. The choices we make in these next few years will echo for centuries. The consequences of inaction are already visible, and our natural allies, oceans and forests, are faltering. Floods, fires, and droughts are no longer distant threats, they are the new reality for millions. The ecosystems that once protected us are now under siege. There are glimmers of hope: solar expansion, reduced deforestation, and technological solutions. Around the world, innovators and communities are rising to the challenge, proving that change is possible. Renewable energy is growing, and new ideas are taking root. But positive steps are overwhelmed by the momentum of fossil-fueled economies. The old systems resist change, and powerful interests cling to the status quo. The scale of transformation required is daunting, but not impossible. The real challenge is perspective, will, and cooperation. It's not just about technology, but about coming together, across borders, generations, and beliefs, to build a sustainable future. We have the tools, what's needed is action. Solutions exist, but they require courage, commitment, and a shared sense of purpose. Every individual, community, and nation has a role to play. From a cosmic view, it's tragic. A species capable of wonder, creativity, and compassion, yet risking its own future through inaction. We are both the problem and the solution, holding our destiny in our hands. We are the crew of Spaceship Earth, bound together by a shared fate. Our journey depends on unity, resilience, and vision. It's time to act like it. The alarm has sounded, and the moment to rise is now. Our actions today will shape the world for generations to come. Our survival depends on what we do next. The future is not yet written. It's ours to create, together.